Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of the Blind Tech Guys podcast. Let's just give it a minute, make sure all the platforms are live. Oh, YouTube's live. Very good. I like.
All right.
But tonight you can't call it the Blind Tech Guys podcast because I'm not a guy.
Oh, you sound far away. Where are you?
Yeah. Have you unchecked the thing for the echo cancellation as well?
All right. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of the Blind Tech Guys podcast. My name is Nimmer, and I'm joining you here today from, let's go from Zambia, because I was listening to a podcast about Zambia, so I'll be from Zambia today. I don't even know if we have Zambia as our list of countries, but if you're from Zambia and you're listening to this, hello, I'm from your country today. And we have a few mystery guests. Hello, mystery guests.
Hello.
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 Hello, I'm from Zimbabwe because Robert's from Zimbabwe, so I thought might as well be from there again. We're going to go with Z's. Is there any other Z country that anyone can think of?
There used to be Zaire before it was Congo.
Oh, well, Zaire, that'll do. Very good.
And our new guest can't come up with anything, so she's disqualified. Wait. We have a she on the podcast?
What?
We're the Blind Tech Guys. What happened?
Yeah, don't know.
I guess we'll have to change the name.
Huh. This is strange.
The Blind Tech Guys / gals.
Well, I hear it's a common thing these days to get gender reassignments. So will you consider getting a gender reassignment?
Oh, boy.
How about we all reassign the three of you?
Oh, God, Carrie.
Bold.
Hey, at least it'd still be known as the BTG podcast, except it'll just be Blind Tech Girls. Very good. Yeah.
We'd have to change our contact email again.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm not up for reassigning. Sorry.
I don't feel like getting the chop today.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'll just make a new podcast and find some girls
seems
who
to
are
be the
interested.
fad these days. So.
Oh, my gosh. We could be the blind technology users.
Oh, yes. The Blind Technology Guys. Wow.
All right, enough of that from me.
What silly pooches. Well, anyway, we are joined here today by Carrie from LiveAccessible. Hello, Carrie.
LiveAccessible. I don't know that channel. It's LiveAccessible.
Live sounds better than me, and the screen readers say live, so it's live. But if you want to say live, whatever. I think I would know better than you would, even though it's your channel, because I use a screen reader. So my screen reader says live, so it's live.
Well, all your screen readers are wrong. I'm sorry.
Well, we are very glad to have you here, and I'm going to start out by making some announcements, as usual. So this is episode number 84. We have, let's see here. I want to wish everybody, it's coming up, it hasn't hit yet, a very happy Eid. If you're Muslim, you celebrate Eid, the end of Ramadan, Eid al-Fitr. Happy Eid. And we're very glad that you're listening and enjoy your celebrations. Yay! I don't have any more bubble wrap to pop, otherwise I would for you. But, maybe Marco will find some fireworks sound effects for us.
Yeah. I have bubble wrap here.
Ooh.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Well, I also want to wish anybody who celebrated a very happy Cinco de Mayo. And there were some fireworks going off here. I can tell you, people were celebrating. And so very happy Cinco de Mayo. I know it's past, so please don't tell me that it's not here yet or that it's next year or something. Yes, I know it's past, but happy Cinco de Mayo. Also, a very happy Mother's Day for those mothers out there, those mums, mams, whatever you call them in your country.
That
Very
was
happy
yesterday.
Mother's Day. Yesterday for you, it is today for me, and probably past for the podcast listeners later. But anyway, very happy Mother's Day, late Mother's Day, whatever it is for you. And if you have celebrated it, well, very happy Mother's Day again. Carrie, happy Mother's Day to you. I know that you're a mom.
Yes, thank you. I actually forgot when I agreed to this date that it was Mother's Day. Oh my goodness. And I have been very lazy this whole day. So you guys actually got me on here, even though I'm so lazy today.
Wow.
I can't believe it. Well, if we are forgetting your holiday, please let us know. I don't intend to leave any out, so please just, send us something in the contact form or email. We're always looking for a reason to celebrate. And having said that, I am about to celebrate. Very good. And I'm going to celebrate by singing.
Okay,
Hello, very happy National Coke Day to you.
I hope everybody put this video on mute.
Oh,
At least you warned people before you sang.
You guys are so mean. I want to wish everybody a very, very happy National Coke Day. It was actually yesterday, but I'm going to celebrate. I'm a big fan of Coke. Here we go. I got a glass bottle. Oh, yeah. If you don't know me, I am the biggest Coke fan in the world. Coke was invented just for me. I've got my Coke shirt on, although I have my camera off. I have my I have a lot of Coke
better than the other
collector
way
stuff.
around there.
And I'm always looking for more collector stuff. So anyway, Coke is kind of my addiction. And no, I'm not talking about the white powder. If you haven't realized yet, I'm talking about the beverage. So
That's pretty cool that they still make Coke bottles in glass. We don't get many of them over here.
A very delightful, happy National Coke Day. It was my personal holiday yesterday, and I did celebrate. I drank 10 glass bottles of Coke and about 3 or 4 cans, something like that.
You know what
My
else is good
celebration.
in glass bottles? Milk.
Carrie,
Wow.
we need to get rid of her.
You're playing with fire there.
I think milk is absolutely disgusting. So
So do you put Coke on your cereal?
it would be delightful. Yeah, why not? What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
Well, thank you for the 7 people who are watching. We're just getting started. And Harshid, he's already chatted us. So hello, Harshid. And as we go about, please feel free to throw your comments in the chat. I will be looking at them. So glad that you're here with us. And if you know anyone that wants to watch, please direct them to the stream. Very good. Well, what do we have going on today? We've got a number of things. We're going to have a discussion about technology, past, present, and future. So the past of accessible technology, screen readers, that type of thing. Kind of where we're at now, where we all view the landscape of where we're at now, and hopefully where we'd like to get to, and some technologies that may be emerging, and some future things. So that's what we're going to talk about. Then, hopefully we get some time, we will talk about YouTube Music. It is a web app. So we're going to demonstrate the Google Music web app, the YouTube Music web app. And I will also plug in my phone and we'll do a demo of the YouTube Music for Android. And if you are using iOS, it's very similar to iOS. So I'm not so sure that we'll demo it on iOS. We might, but it certainly is a very, very much a similar experience on iOS as it is on Android. So yeah, and we have a listener feedback submission. And that is today's podcast. So get your love, get your beverage, get whatever you want to get your weed, and enjoy the podcast.
I was waiting for that one.
I feel like Nimmer's love is his beverage.
I said that just for Kurt. Thomas,
I've got a girlfriend
Thomas,
with
I'm
a
not reading your
first name
comment
that
on the
starts with C.
podcast.
Thomas says, today is milk day. Thank you, Thomas.
Oh, very good.
Oh God,
Thomas,
you're a
you're a brave guy, but at least you can't be removed.
This is going to be a long episode. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, Carrie, please, if you can, just maybe give a brief introduction. You must do this a billion times a day, so you can just, say whatever you want about who you are and why are you here and what's on your channel. Tell us a little bit about anything that you want to tell us about you. And go.
Sure. Hey, everyone. I'm Carrie, and I'm the creator of the YouTube channel called LiveAccessible, and I make Live Accessible. And I make videos on technology and also encouragement. And I have interviews and just videos about living with a visual impairment and blindness. And that's pretty much it. There's a lot of different content on there. Android related, computer related, and a lot of the content I do is geared toward those who have low vision like me, but also a lot of it can also be relevant to people who are totally blind as well. And you guys can follow me on Live Accessible on YouTube, on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and pretty much all of those social media platforms. So, yeah, thanks for asking me on here, guys.
So, Carrie, I just wanted to find out. Sorry, Carrie, I just wanted to find out what inspired you to start up the channel. I mean, there's obviously quite a bit of a need, I would have thought, for technology for low vision users, and I guess you come at it from that perspective more so.
Yes, a little bit more so. So honestly, I've been wanting to start a YouTube channel since YouTube first started. And I grew up with YouTube and, with everybody rising up as creators. But also, I love technology ever since I was younger. My dad used to be very much into technology and assistive tech. And then I started working at a low vision center. And from there, I actually wanted to start a YouTube channel for them, but it never went through. Marketing wasn't on board. And so when I had my son, little Pablo, decided to stay home, and I had a little bit more time to go ahead and start a YouTube channel that I wanted to.
Very good. Well, we're very glad that you're on here. And everybody, BTG people, please check out Live Accessible on the YouTube and the Twitter, tweet, Snackchap. I don't know if she has Snackchap, actually. Instagram. What's all these other TikTok, Schmock, all these clocks, whatever. Check her out.
She's basically everywhere. I mean, anywhere that you think you could find someone socially, you could find.
She's in more places than we are for sure. So check her out on all these places.
No, I just I don't have Snapchat. No Snapchat, but everything else, yeah. I'm too old, I guess.
So, out of interest, I guess I've got to ask.
Live Accessible.
You're on Instagram. Does that mean that you? I haven't actually got Instagram, but does that mean that you do a lot of photos up there and stuff like that? I assume, is it all?
How does
that platform work?
To be honest, most of the time I just use it to promote my YouTube videos, and also I use it as a way for followers to DM me or send me messages. So that's what Instagram is mostly for, because honestly, as it takes a lot to take a picture, and then if you want to caption it and all this, like, that's the beauty of Facebook and Twitter. You can just type something up real quick and then boom, it's
and
done.
Off it goes.
Yep.
Type.
Goes everywhere, yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. Well, let's start out with technology, and I'll just, we'll just start off talking a little bit about what we have used in the past, and maybe talk a little bit about what we're currently using now, and just a little bit of a history of ourselves, brief, hopefully. And, I'll start. I started out a long time ago using a computer. What did it run? Well, very first computer ran DOS. That was kind of the first, my first introduction. It'll kind of tell you a little bit about how old or young I am. And if you thought I was a lot older, sorry to disappoint you. Anyway.
Oh, you're nearly
computer,
Philip's age. Very good.
Oh gosh.
So I ran a little bit of DOS, and then my first introduction into Windows land was Windows 95, actually. Had a bit of a play with that before upgrading to 98 second edition. That was probably my very favorite machine out
Yes,
of all
absolutely.
the ones I liked.
That was how I started too.
Yeah, 98 SE. That was my favorite. And at the
good.
time, it was Jaws. Played a bit around with Vocalize and Jaws. Jaws was kind of my go-to back then. No, well, so later on I did play with Dolphin, but not at that time.
Very
then
good.
I upgraded to, so that 98 SE, I was building my own computer. I'd built one by then. And poor thing, I ended up frying it because I needed a new power supply, and I had the thing switched to the wrong power setting. Plugged it in, ended up frying the power supply, or the whole motherboard, basically. So that was fun. I, at that time, was also using some of the note takers. I had the, the Braille lights, the older Braille lights.
Oh, yeah.
And the Braille notes when those came out and became a thing. And the Packmates, sorry, when those became a thing. And, yeah, and then eventually ended up on Windows XP. Actually, I did ME for a short time, and I couldn't stand the thing. I ended up on XP. XP was fine. Then I ended up on Vista. That was terrible. Ended up on 7, 8. 8 was terrible. And now I'm on Windows 10. But during that time, I've also played around quite a bit with Mac and with Linux, and I started using Linux probably more full-time about 10 years ago, at least 10 years ago, somewhere around there. I'm a big fan of Speak Up and Emacs and Orca, and so definitely I'm a big fan of Linux. And now I am mostly using Chrome OS, to be honest. Spend a lot of time in Chrome OS. Some time in Linux, less time in Windows, although I still do need to visit Windows from time to time. And yeah, that's sort of my technology history. I do have a Braille display, more for work stuff, but some for personal as well. I have a Focus 40. And on Windows, I use NVDA. And I'm an Android user, so that's kind of my sort of history. Smartphones, I never really wanted to get a smartphone. Hate smartphones. Absolutely didn't want anything to do with them. But about 10 years ago, I was kind of dragged in kicking and screaming into smartphones because everybody has smartphones. And it's probably still this way today, where I don't like some of the new trends. And so I avoid them until I realize that they're just taking off and I have no choice. Like this new thing, Clubhouse thing.
It's on Android now, apparently.
Yeah, I know. It just came out.
Not here, though, sadly.
You're not going to find me. I don't. We're not doing BTG on Clubhouse unless Marco or Kurt or someone creates it, because I'm not. I've seen too many of these apps come and go and die, and unless I see it's something that is actually worth using, I'm. And that's kind of how I am with the smartphones. But eventually I got into smartphones, and I tried both iOS and Android, and really liked Android because the thing had buttons. So if you are relating to this, I'm telling you, I didn't like touchscreens, and I really still don't. I think buttons are more efficient. I'm used to the smartphone. I'm used to the touchscreen. I use it all the time, but I still would prefer buttons. And so that's kind of where I started out with Android. And at the time when I started, you couldn't even use Android with a touchscreen. You had to use, the phones came with a little ball on the bottom. It's kind of called like a trackball or a pointing ball.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I remember that, the
forgotten about
G1.
that. Yeah.
Yep. So you either had a trackball or you had to have a physical keyboard or something that you could use to control, or a D-pad, something to use to control TalkBack, because you had to use something like that to be able to navigate around. We had the ice-free shell. We had the vibration and sounds. They were separate in TalkBack. We had soundback and kickback.
Yeah.
So if you wanted TalkBack to vibrate or make audio tones, you had to use SoundBack or Kickback.
So how did Kickback work? Did that like give you a little jolt every time you went a bad pitch?
So I remember I had a G1 too back in the day. Was my first ever smartphone, and I loved that thing. Had like a little slide out keyboard. I still miss the keyboard on that thing. There was a little GPS app called Walkie Talkie, as I recall.
Yes,
oh wow, yeah. Oh, wow.
And actually, I think it was created by Google. So they created it called Walkie Talkie, and then they took some of those features, as I recall, and added those into Maps, or maybe that was something different. There's so many of these apps, and I think Walkie Talkie allowed you to explore maybe that was a separate app, Intersection Explorer. Now that I'm thinking about it.
No, I think that's
and
a different app.
Let you explore the touch screen to explore intersections, and this was before even Apple had accessible maps. We had this app, and then they added it as a plugin to Google Maps, and you could check the box in advanced settings to turn it on, and then they removed it.
Very good.
Gotta love.
See, that's
Google.
unusual.
Anyway, I went on way too long. That's my history of technology, and
I'll go through mine very quickly. It's actually very
Marco,
similar to yours, actually, Nim. Funnily enough, my first computer was a 486. Back in the mid-90s, I had a 486. I thought it was the best thing, and that thing cost $2,000 back in the day, which was absolute craziness. Windows 95, and I started with DOS. 98 SE was, I agree, Nim, the best out of the bunch. I actually was on that for a long time. Skipped ME, went to XP. Sadly, at work, had to use Windows 2000, which was very annoying. Windows 7, didn't go with Windows 8 because I could see how painful it would be. Windows 10. I used to have a Braille and Speak. I don't know if anyone had one of those, but I used to have one of them. And that was
I had
an interesting
Type and
device.
Oh yeah.
Type and Speak, yeah.
Yeah.
And I had a Braille Mate, and I had a embosser, which I just can't think of what the hell that thing was called, but God, it was loud. It was really cool. And I started, I was like you, Nim. I didn't like the smartphone innovation in the late 2000s, so I held off until 2012.
Wow.
Before I used an iPhone. Yeah, I was using still my favorite phone today. I think it was a Nokia N91 or something. It's a good phone, the old Nokias. And I used that until about 2012, and then I eventually got an iPhone 5, which was okay, I guess. And subsequently, that iPhone 5 got drowned in a hiking expedition, so that was good. So then I had to go and buy an iPhone 6S. And the only other phone that I've actually, I've had other phones in between, but these are phones that I've had for a long period of time, was then when I moved across to Android, which I haven't regretted, to be fair.
Yeah.
And I still have an iPad, and I have the Onliner Focusrite 40 and Windows. I do like Chrome.
Focusrite makes Braille.
I'm on a Focusrite. What do you call Focus 40? Very good.
They made interfaces. They
made interfaces. They made outer faces. Yeah. And I have, what else do I have at the moment? I like Chrome OS. I've never really gotten into Mac. That's just me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not a Mac user at all. Busy. Yeah. And that's pretty much me. So kind of a similar path. I think we'll get into this discussion later about how accessibility is going and all that. But yeah, what about you, Kurt?
So I started later, right? I was born in 1991. By the time I recall looking at some like Apple IIe or something with a really awful speech synthesizer, but that was in like a blind school classroom. My first real exposure to a computer was Windows 98 second edition. I think JAWS 3.1.
Yeah.
I remember my first ever JAWS update introduced forms mode, and that like opened the whole internet to me. It felt like, because I could, write things on websites and stuff. And 10-year-old kid, I felt really cool. I had a Braille Light Millennium, and I had an old Braille and Speak 2000 ready. Now, as far as smartphones go, I played around with a G1 in about 2009, whenever that thing came out. My first ever smartphone, most things weren't accessible. You know, I could watch YouTube videos, I could send texts. There were a couple random apps here and there that worked by some fluke, it felt like. But so then I got into iOS and switched back and forth between Android and iOS for a while because honestly, both of them were just really bugging me, but I felt like I needed a phone. Now I'm on Android. I still have an iPhone that I use for, Braille reading. I pair it with, I got a brilliant 40 cell Braille display and a little 20 cell one that I'm beta testing.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I use iOS for now.
That's your Android journey or iOS journey.
Right. And now the next things I really want to get into are starting to learn Linux. My next kind of tech purchase is going to be a Raspberry Pi, so I can start,
I like Raspberry Pi. Yeah, very nice.
Kind of learn how that works, see if I enjoy it or not.
You don't want to go the Apple route?
For a computer, no. But yeah. So, and I obviously have thoughts on where accessibility is going too. So when we get there.
And Carrie?
Yeah, I'm just trying to digest everything that you guys said because I don't know half of the things that you guys were talking about. But for me, I was pretty young, and I don't even know what operating system I started on. Was it 95, 96, 97, whatever, maybe it was 2000. I know it was Windows.
I can promise you it wasn't 96.
Or 97.
Well, maybe it was 2000. I really don't know, but
this is why we don't let females come on the Blind Tech Guys podcast.
Boy.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
I could just leave. Goodbye.
Just kidding, guys.
But I grew up with my dad. He was a JAWS user. But I don't even know. I just remember him mentioning what is it called? The Dex Talk?
Oh, Deck Talk.
Oh, yeah.
Talk?
That's the synthesizer that came with window eyes. So it was a hardware synth
Deck
too.
Talk.
Yeah, and I love to play with it. And
I had a double talk. That's my hardware synth.
And I remember one of the first things that I learned was do not stuff paper into the floppy drive disk.
Very good. Very good.
Excellent.
Naughty.
Don't take apart a floppy disk.
Hey, I never tried stuffing paper into it. That's cool.
I don't know why I did. It was just like, it was there. It was a hole, and I was like, oh, I have paper here. Okay, let's see what happens.
You never know. It could have been a printer or something.
And then I went to school, and I got what is it called? A voice and speak, type and speak, something speak.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't very good at Braille.
Speak ready.
And after that, what was it? What was that one after the type and speak? I can't remember what they came out.
Oh, there was a lot of them. Yeah.
But it had the QWERTY keyboard and a Braille display at the bottom, which I never used.
Depends on the company. Braille Notes made one.
Okay, yeah,
There was a heap of them that came out.
That was a QT version with a Braille display. I think PackMate had one.
PackMate.
Yeah.
I think it was Humanware. I'm not sure.
That's Braille Notes.
Yeah, they're Braille
Okay.
notes. They're
And then I also had a book port, and I didn't want to have a smartphone either, honestly. My dad had an iPhone, and I didn't want to. I was like, what do I need a phone for? I have, I can make calls, I can text, I even have a little radio. And I had I don't even know the name of the phone or the model, but it was a Samsung, and it had a little keyboard, slide out keyboard, and I would use it to text, and I could type pretty fast on that thing under
See, I
the
had a flip
desk.
phone, you know.
Yeah, I used that too, and I could type pretty fast with the, what do you call it, T9 keyboard,
Yep.
and that was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I finally got into the smartphone market because everybody was using it. And I'm like, okay, if my sister's going to use it and she's definitely not technology savvy and she has an iPhone, I'm gonna go and find something. And everybody in my family had an iPhone, so I was like, I'm gonna try Android. And so yeah, and I did get my first phone was a Samsung Galaxy S4. That was my first smartphone, and it actually had the triple tap for magnification. And
Wow.
I mean, compared to the iPhone magnification, I didn't like the idea of having to use 3 fingers to pan around the screen. So that's why I stuck with Android. Plus, iPhone had horrible displays, and I really like the Samsung displays and the OLED technology. So that's what I
Really
stuck
You know,
with.
it's funny
Tiny
you say that,
screens, too.
Carrie, because when I was going out with someone who was partially sighted, they were also very much into the Androids, and exactly because of that, the display was far easier for a person of low vision for some reason. Well, that's what she used to say. So
Absolutely. I mean, like
Yeah.
they call the iPhone, they call it the Retina display and whatever, but it was just pretty low resolution, even for a low vision person. You could tell, and
Yeah.
just the backlight, it was not
yeah,
good
the
at all.
backlight, that exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it.
Thomas, we need to kick you off the pod. No, we need to remove your comments.
He's a bad pooch.
Yeah, he's a very bad pooch.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about screen reader history real quick, and we're not going to spend that much time on it because we're in the present now. So we're going to go rewind. What's that sound, that tape recorder sound that you used
I like that
make?
one.
I don't
Yeah.
know, I can't make that sound, but we need the sound effect. Anyway, the very first screen reader was actually made internally, like IBM, by some dude, Jim Thatcher.
Was it Margaret Thatcher's son?
Yeah, he might have been.
Who knows?
He certainly might have been.
Was he English?
So this, yeah, very good.
Well, he could have been. Most of those sorts of things came out of England initially, didn't they? Back in the old
No,
days.
this was in America. But anyway, he developed the screen reader. Of course, back then it was all DOS, right? So there was no. And by the way, when we talk about DOS or GUI, what we mean is the DOS was the commands that you typed in. So you type in these commands, type. For example, if you want to change directories, you do CD space, the name of the directory that you want to change to. Or you want to, make a directory, or you want to, anything basically, you type in commands, which is probably pretty handy for blind people. And I know a lot of blind people that still want to use this kind of tech. At any rate, we got these screen readers that sort of in-house to IBM, which is pretty cool. And wow, I'm a little distracted here. Very nice. So anyway, we got this screen reader, and after a while, we started getting more companies getting involved, of course. Really started getting into the space. And so back then, it was a lot of command line type things, and the screen readers were relatively easy to do because you're just basically reading whatever the command line stuff. But then once we started getting into the graphical user interfaces, which, again, if you're not sure what that is, that's where you have images and graphics and a user interface where you have to click start at the bottom, or you have to click the launcher, or you have to whatever. And it's basically you're using the mouse and you're using keyboard commands to navigate around an operating system. and it's asking you questions and giving you options to click on and that kind of thing. So you're not having to learn all the different commands that you need to be able to do a basic task like, I don't know, print a document or whatever it might be. So that was a little bit tougher for screen readers and started getting really advanced, and we needed screen readers to come about. So of course the vocal eyes, the window eyes, the window eyes for graphical user interfaces, the JAWS, both for DOS and for GUI, started getting the JAWS, and then since then, of course, 95, when Windows 95 came about, Microsoft started adding some accessibility features into Windows, but we really didn't get very far. Over time, up until probably even Windows 10, I think narrator's come a long way now in Windows 10, but narrator voiceover was a thing. Before that, it was the outspoken on the Macs, and then we got the voiceover. Apple really put in a lot of effort towards accessibility. We, of course, ended up with NVDA back in about 2008, somewhere around there. NVDA came about. At the time, we also had another free one that was kind of struggling and never got anywhere. That was called Thunder.
Oh, yes, Thunder.
Oh,
Forgotten
yeah.
about that. Yeah, I think I tried that once.
Yeah, we had System Access. They came out with a web version, the Satogo. You go to that website and you could use System Access to go. There's kind of a web-based one, and you could purchase it. But the web-based one was innovative in that you would just open up a browser, visit a website, and it would pretty much allow you to run a screen reader. So that was kind of an interesting little innovation there. In terms of magnification is the major players in the space, at least, has really been Zoom Text and Magic.
Yeah.
Those are kind of the major players that have been, and Magic is now, pretty much all Zoom Text basically.
Yes, they're still selling Magic, but
They are, yeah.
Is it any different than Zoom Text?
It is different.
Yes.
But I would honestly, I used to be a Zoom Text user a lot since middle school. I don't know, was it Zoom Text 8 or 7 that I started with? And I don't know, every update, it seems that it has been getting more and more system intensive. If you don't have a really good computer that has good graphics or that's powerful enough, it just slows down your computer
a lot of people
so
say
much.
that it's very glitchy now. Like it's very, it does.
Yes,
like you keep it
and
down big style.
that's why I honestly have moved to Windows Magnifier. It doesn't have as many features as Zoom Text. You don't have a lot of different options. Like you can change your mouse on the magnifier now, but that's just a recent update. But they like Zoom Text had focus highlights, that you could find your mouse easily. They have dual monitor support. They have a lot of other things, and then you could also get Zoom Text with speech, which I actually think that you should just use a screen reader. If you're going to want speech, just use a screen reader with your magnifier. That's what I use. I use Windows Magnifier and either JAWS or NVDA.
Yeah, it's interesting, the magnifier landscape, really, because there's a lot of these that are really complicated. So you have the version that doesn't have speech. You have the version that has limited speech. And then you have the one that combines the speech, like the screen reader, with the magnifier that gives you more speech, but then some of the key commands are different.
I don't understand, because when Fusion first came out, I tried it and it was worse than regular Zoom Text and worse than Zoom Text with another screen reader. And I mean, honestly, I would just recommend just use a magnifier. If you really want to use Zoom Text, then I would definitely recommend Zoom Text over what's the Dolphin one called? Supernova,
Supernova,
and Magic. So, but if you have to go with one of those, then get Zoom Text. But honestly, for most users, you're going to be pretty happy with Windows Magnifier.
Yeah. Now, the last thing I'm going to touch on in the history space, and this is kind of really fascinating, and I always say this to people, that a lot of the innovations that we use today is they're direct results of innovations made to help out disabled people or blind people or whatever. And so as an example of this, the typewriter was first invented by an individual to help a blind friend write legibly. And that's how we first got the typewriter. The tape, the audiobook, that was directly made for blind people. And how many people really like audiobooks now? Like everybody likes listening to audiobooks.
Yeah. And that's really a fad that's only just really kicked off in the last 5 years, I reckon. It everyone seems to be into it now.
Well, an
Transistor
OCR
was made
too, right?
to help out people with hearing aids, to make those smaller and improve those. Like how many things have transistors in them?
Yeah.
Bell Labs invented the first the speech synthesizer in like 1936. A lot of this stuff was invented for people with disabilities that are used directly by anybody.
Yeah.
The OCR, how many things are doing OCR now? And the first one was made by that Ray Kurzweil,
I remember using that Kurzweil reader or whatever it was called back in the 90s, and nobody ever used that except for, well, some blind people. But, yeah.
So a lot of these tools they start out being made for people with disabilities. And this is why I say to companies, it is worth innovating for people with disabilities. Why? Because you never know when your product will catch steam with other people who decide that these tools for people who are disabled are actually worth using. The voice access is a big one. Like now we have voice access, and it was intended to be used by people with disabilities, people who are not able necessarily to interact with their device physically. But how many people use that now when they're in a kitchen cooking? They can't touch their phone, or while they're driving. All the voice features, the voice assistants and that kind of thing. So all these things that were made to help out blind people or other people with disabilities are being very much embraced by other people who want to make their lives easier.
Well, it's amazing how many sighted people now send text messages using Siri or Google whilst they're driving, which you would never have seen that 3 or 5 years ago. So.
Yeah. Well, here's where we're at. That's where the history was, and now we're moving on past the boring history all the way up till today, kind of where we're at recently, now. And the landscape of the market of screen readers and technology in general is kind of, to me at least, stagnating. To me, it seems stagnating. And because a lot of more complex interfaces and products are being developed, we are actually probably falling behind. It's my view. I have 4 guests that may disagree, but 3 guests. I have 3 or 4. I have 3 guests. Wow, I can't count. Very good.
Hello, do you know what time it is? Very good.
Yeah. I've got 3 guests that may or may not disagree with me, but in my view, we've got, now, so a lot of the stuff, when people started getting access to screen readers and that kind of thing, and note takers, it was all about really improving the lives of blind people, because now you could actually have the same access to information or similar, and you can do these jobs like taking orders or working on computers or doing all these things, working at a workplace that uses them for whatever. Of course, now everyone uses computers.
Yeah.
But it really opened up a lot of gates for blind people. But now I really feel like we're stagnating and moving backwards. And the reason is that a lot of these interfaces that have come out are very much inaccessible. If I think about an oven, if I want to go buy an oven today, most of the ovens today are very much touchscreen.
Yep.
Not just pressure sensitive, capacitive touchscreens. That you could probably put bump dots on or something. I'm talking about active touchscreens, like the ones found on your phone.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And with complicated menus and that kind of thing. And these don't talk. If you're lucky, you can find appliances that have an app, and if you're even more lucky, that app will actually have some kind of accessibility built in, and it actually will work and function. Otherwise, you get a microwave, you get an oven, you go to an airport and there's a kiosk, you go to McDonald's, you try to order at McDonald's, and nowadays, more and more, they're becoming self-serve kiosks.
Yep.
And
Indeed.
a lot of these things are very much inaccessible. And even if they are accessible, there's another issue that comes to mind, and that issue is of discoverability of accessibility features. How do you turn that feature on? Even if it has it, how do you turn it on?
Yeah, and it's not going to be the same standard across products. Like,
No.
each different thing's going to have its own way. And, you know, if
Well,
it's
it's funny you say that, Kurt. It's
Yeah,
funny
go
you say that, Kurt. We have a huge issue at the moment in this country of... so in Australia, we predominantly use a lot of FPOS, and we use a lot of, you touch a card on and you pay for things. And we have one that's come out now, which is accessible, but the problem is that most people, don't know how to turn that accessibility on. And even if you do manage to turn it on, most people that are actually using it in the shop don't know how to use it.
Yeah.
So that's a big problem. And I completely back you up here, Nim. I have... It's a very worrying trend that we're in at the moment, and it's extremely worrying, and I'm not sure if it's the same for you guys over there in the US or not, that our national, peak body for disability, to me anyway, doesn't seem to be taking it very seriously. And it's very concerning. There's a lot of things in this country that are becoming inaccessible. It's not only ovens, it's stovetops now, it's microwaves, it's dishwashers, it's pretty much any appliance that you want to buy. Washing machines now are starting to be, a lot of them are touch screen and moving touch screen, similar to a phone.
I'll tell
It's
you what
very
the most
concerning.
infuriating one to me is, and it sounds silly. It's going to sound really silly. I can't sleep when I get hot. Like, if I'm really hot, I can't sleep.
Oh, you're going
And
to
if-
say the air conditioner.
If I go to a hotel and I want to turn on the aircon, it
Good
used
luck.
to be very simple. There's knobs
Yeah.
on the thing.
Right.
You just easily push knobs, or maybe buttons. And a lot
Or
of
a remote
times now,
control that's got an obvious on and off button,
right?
at least.
And a lot of
Yeah.
times now they're touch screen.
Yeah.
And I just want to do something simple. I want to turn on that stupid aircon.
Yep.
It's the stupidest thing in the world, and it's infuriating. And
Yeah.
it's not just, I mean, yeah, it sounds like a little thing, but how many of those things do we encounter in our daily lives?
Yeah. And it's silly. Like, I've been in hotels and I want to just use the microwave, and my only real solution is like use that Be My Eyes or Ira or whatever, and have someone use my phone camera to tell me where the buttons are on the screen. That, that it shouldn't be like that.
The most frustrating thing I just bought a new dishwasher. Now, yes, thankfully, I did a bit of research and bought the appliance so that I know I can use a phone app. But if this thing didn't have a phone app, I wouldn't be able to use it at all. And sometimes it's actually more annoying it be that way, like you just said, Nim. It'd just be nice to be able to just push a couple of buttons and bang, it's on.
Well, and
just a
the
lot of
next
mucking
problem
around.
that you run into is then if you buy it, again, you still have to have eyeballs of some kind because you still have to set it up.
Yeah.
So even
Well,
if
you
you have
cannot
the
turn
app,
the
you still
Wi-Fi
have to
on.
set it up.
Yeah, correct. You can't turn the Wi-Fi on without eyeballs because that's off by default. So, and then you still have to join the Wi-Fi network and blah blah blah.
You know, and I think, like, if we're talking about the present, it's a really, I think, to me, a very frustrating time to be a blind person, because I see all these innovations that are meant for sighted people, that are made for everybody except blind people. And I perceive it that way. I know it's probably not that way, but I perceive it that way. And I see all these innovations that are being made, and yet we are being very much left behind. We are still expected to use canes. We are expected to have people guide us and take us places. And if I ever call a company and they ever tell me that the solution to my problem is to find someone to help me, I immediately, I hang up, and I will not do business with a company that way. So if you're a company, you're a developer listening, and a blind person asks you for help, and your solution, the best thing that you have to offer is ask a sighted person to help you, that shuts me off from using your product.
I think even more so, though, one of the biggest concerns at the moment is that developers are not really let's say 15, 20 years ago, developers would develop something on the web or whatever, and they knew what they were doing, and it was generally accessible.
Yeah.
And things just worked, and it worked easily. These days, I think developers and programmers, etc., code writers, whatever, are just somewhat lazy. And because there's not people out there going, just write it as it should be written, and it should just work out of the box. People are too busy trying to make it look pretty or do this or do that. I don't know. It's a very concerning period, I think.
And it's even more concerning that I think a lot of the blindness entities, and I've touched on it before, and I will again, that a lot of the blindness entities, instead of focusing on all the inaccessibility of society today, of all the products that are completely unusable for blind people, instead of focusing on that, we're focused on audio description.
Yeah.
I am sorry, but as a blind person, I care a lot more about being able to do my job than I give a shit about watching a Netflix show. Sorry. I know that it's good to have audio description. Please don't get me wrong. I understand audio description is important. Don't misunderstand that I'm not saying we shouldn't have it. But please don't focus on audio description as a thing that we need to really passionately pursue as a blindness entity. And ACB, and especially ACB, NFB too, they're focused on audio description and all these things that are completely irrelevant. I think in today's world, we have a lot bigger fish to fry.
We have the same issue here. We seem to be focused on audio description rather than focusing on making other things actually accessible and getting laws passed that force developers to be more considerate of accessibility. We just seem to be focused on that as well. It's very annoying.
And we don't all have sighted partners. I mean, Marco does. Carrie has some vision, and I would say, and Carrie will touch on it too. She when she jumps in, I think the low vision people probably have these struggles too. But I don't live with a sighted partner, and yes, I can have friends that have eyeballs, and yes, I can find someone to help me. Yes, I can do that. Right. But I shouldn't have to, and especially with a product that gives away sensitive information, banking products, for example, or, I don't want to have someone help me fill out my IRA documents so I can transfer it, because the only way it can be sent is by filling out forms manually and sending it by mail. It shouldn't be that way in today's society.
Oh, and the digital signatures. How much fun is that to do?
Yeah.
A blind person. That's always
and
good fun.
captchas too.
Yeah.
And captchas.
Yeah. So are you noticing any of these trends? Are you struggling with any of this today, Carrie? Or is that just a bigger problem for totally blind people?
I think it is a big problem for totally blind people. But at the same time, I think that a lot of the technology that they do build into appliances or into smaller products, they have the most horrible screens. And so even with a magnifier, a lot of the time it's hard to make it out. And so a lot of the time I still end up asking somebody, or just having to struggle a lot with it. I mean, because, on a phone screen, phones are expensive, and they put a lot of effort and time and production and development into a screen on their smartphone, because they expect a lot of people to use it a lot more. But with appliances and things like that, they don't. A lot of these things are very low resolution, and they have terrible LCD panels and all these things. So yes, in a way, it is still a problem for us who have low vision. But I can definitely see that, probably for people who don't have any vision, it's going to be a lot more frustrating.
And I know this is going to get some people's...
Have you used Ira for these tasks? How has Ira worked out for you guys?
So they used to be decent-ish, kind of, but their quality has gone very downhill. I don't really use them anymore. I canceled my subscription.
Why is that?
Because I don't want to have to wait a minute and then have a 30% chance that no one will answer on the phone, and then it's kind of even money whether the agent will be able to understand what I'm asking and only give me the information I'm asking for, instead of I don't know. Some of them don't know how to do their jobs very well. Some of them are good. And it's just like, I don't really like taking that chance.
Another problem I run into with Ira and Be My Eyes, and I'm very passionately against Ira, and maybe that's a whole other topic for another podcast. But Ira is not a company I will support any day after a lot of experiences and considering the cost. But anyway, with companies like Ira and Be My Eyes, pointing the phone, the camera, at a touch screen while you're trying to use the touch screen is incredibly difficult. So I know I'm talking about, these appliances that we're talking about. People say, well, I don't use Ira. The camera, when you point it at a screen that already has glare, especially depending on the lighting situation or whatever, and then the fact that you have to some of the writing is really small, you have to hold the phone in such a way that you can see it. And at the same time, you have to be able to touch that screen.
Yes, it's very hard.
It's an incredibly difficult, tedious time spent, and it doesn't even always work. Depending on the size of the text and the glare and everything else, it doesn't even always work.
No. I remember one time when I did have an Ira subscription, this was a couple of years ago, I spent, I reckon it would have been half an hour just to do a simple 3 or 4 button press, which would have literally taken 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And you think about the amount of money that you spend on that half an hour call, it was just, not good.
Yeah, my husband Pablo has Ira or uses Ira, and you never know what kind of agent you will get. A lot of them don't know simple things, especially if it's on the computer.
Yes.
And half the time is explaining what you want to do. So that's a struggle.
And another problem I run into is the fact that they're trained. And the problem with being trained means that you are trained for the common tasks that maybe 80% of people will ask. But if there's anything else that you want, or if you want them to describe things in a different way that they're not trained for, then you run into problems.
But I see that the flip side of that for Be My Eyes too, because they're not trained a lot of the time. You get a lot of, it depends again on the volunteer, but you do get a lot of unprofessionalism, or they don't know how to help you. They don't know that, some of them don't even know how to use the app that they can turn on the flashlight and do all this stuff. So, I mean, that goes both ways.
I've had better experiences with Be My Eyes lately. And now I don't use either of these very much, but at least with Be My Eyes, I
actually think not being trained helps them.
Yeah. And the other thing I was going to say, Kurt, I think with Be My Eyes as well, I actually use that more often. And now I don't use it often, but more often than, I don't use Ira anymore. And the expectation isn't there. If I'm not paying for the service, unfortunately, with that sort of service, you get what you get. But I have actually had better experience, funnily enough, with them than Ira of late.
The thing that bothers me with Be My Eyes is, I don't know, I guess I just am not lucky, but I get volunteers that just sound so mean to me, or just have this attitude to me. So I don't know, maybe it's where I live or something, but maybe you
I've had him answer with a lot of background noise.
That too.
Oh yeah, I've had that. I
had somebody pick up and say they don't have time to help because they have something to get to, and I'm like,
I kind of expect I kind of expect though for a free service to get that. I suppose, like if I'm paying for Ira, which is decent money, and like I said earlier, I've spent 30 minutes to press 3 buttons. That's just really annoying. That's quite a financial
It brings me
penalty.
back to the memory of when our phone plans used to be minutes, like you had 500
500
minutes except in this case it's only 100 minutes a month for $100 or whatever it is, 200 minutes, sorry, whatever it is. It's kind of crazy.
It's a lot.
I remember thinking in my head at the time, I've just spent $50 or something to press 3 buttons. That didn't really make me feel good.
The funny thing with Ira is they had this period for a while where you could do like one free 5-minute phone.
Oh yeah,
but then
that
you
was
could,
useful.
You could just keep calling back again and again,
exactly.
and you get the same person.
And you get the same person, which was fantastic. But I don't think you can do that anymore, can you?
No, you can't.
Yeah. No.
They
Not
kept
even for
restricting that 5
paying
minutes, yeah.
members, they
Yeah.
get 5
Oh, wow.
minutes only 4 times a day or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Yep.
They were losing too much money on it, I guess.
Why would anyone buy this? I don't understand. That's
Well, over here in this country, a lot of these sorts of services are paid for by the government anyway, so people don't. I mean, it's very popular here in Oz because people don't necessarily don't have to pay for it. The government
think-
Look
pays
at the
for
chat
it. So.
here. Looks like a Joker is in here. Hi, Joker.
A joker. Oh, very good.
Are you a
I agree
smoker? And never mind.
I agree that being able to access products is more important than audio description. I watch anime and it doesn't have audio description, and it's not the end of the world. I'm glad that you agree. Yeah, I in no way am minimizing the need for audio description. I think images and audio should be described. But for goodness sakes, I should be able to leave my house and have a decent navigation app that helps me get to where I need to go, or reads out street signs, or be able to use my microwave. I can think of a lot of other things.
Yeah, or be able to go into a store and not worry about the fact that I'm going to have to worry, whether somebody who's sighted is going to grab my card and I'm going to have to hand it over because it's just a pain in the neck to use a machine. And yeah,
That's why I do like Google Pay, because you
yeah,
just have it
exactly.
on there.
That's why I've done it now too. Yeah.
Yeah. And I should say, there are ways of minimizing this. And so I think for, being able to have somebody that's able to help you put dots on your appliances might help with the older stuff. As the new stuff, it's just less helpful because the menus change. And because they're very much more
if you've got a screen that's moving around and you can't really dot that. So
so it's a little bit less helpful, but there are ways of putting, just a little bit of sticky tape or a little bit, dots or something like that.
I use those little dotty things. I think they're block dots.
I've used those.
Yeah.
But for the newer, I'm still trying to find a good way for like the very new appliances, because
There's
there's not
even with like Alexa controlled ones, it seems very unreliable.
I've got an Alexa microwave, and for whatever, when I switched my routers, I got it on a new Wi-Fi. Now I have to set it up again, the microwave, because it's not connected anymore, and I haven't bothered. Because the way to set it up is I have to find a certain 2 buttons on the screen and hold those down, and then I have to find another button and press that down, and then it gets into pairing mode, and then I have to get into the app, and I don't know where those buttons are, short of getting somebody to look at the screen.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you there would have been
what I do?
there would have
I
been
push
no way to
buttons.
do that as a blind person. Well, you can't do that as a blind person.
Yeah, you know what I do now? I push
Craziness.
buttons, and then I know where the start button is, so I push a bunch of buttons, and then I push the start button, and I time it myself.
Yeah.
And then when it's done, I open the door, and it's done. I mean, it's a stupid solution, but it's what I have to do to make it work.
So what do you think could fix this? Like all these inaccessible products?
Yeah, that's a good, that's a good transition. And I think we transition to talking about the future. And before we talk about the future, I'm going to read this announcement by Strap. So if you're listening to this and you like what you're hearing, please comment, share the podcast out, get it out to your friends on Snack and everything else.
Subscribe,
subscribe
definitely.
is a good thing.
Tweet, get it out to your friends and your neighbors and everybody else.
Your
We
neighbors?
appreciate you listening.
What about your
Looks
enemies?
like we have 11 people here. So thank you so much. Hit the like button, and we're very much glad that you're here. And we have been talking about Strap, the next wearable tech. And Strap is a device, their goal, their aim, not that they're going to actually do it or that they have done it, but their aim is to replace the white cane.
What?
And the way that they're trying to do that is they use a chest strap with haptic feedback, and it has different sensors. It has both LiDAR, which is found in the newer iPhones, and it has ultrasonic.
Yeah.
And this device is a chest strap, and it'll help you detect obstacles and navigate around them, walk in a straight line, this kind of thing. It'll detect the changes between grass and pavement. So it's a new mobility aid, and we've been communicating with them and giving them feedback and that type of thing. And we hope that we'll have one for us to demo. And I know Kurt bought one. But just for BTG supporters, we do have a promo code in an announcement from Strap. So I'm going to go through and read this announcement, and then we'll give you that code. So it says here, 3 years in the making, Strap is an innovative wearable device that fits over the chest and is designed to detect any type of obstacle. Strap's vast array of sensors work by sending real-time information that detects obstacles at your head, chest, and below your waist, which, by the way, a cane doesn't do.
Right.
Including bumps, holes, and steps, and notifying you in haptic language vibrations, designed for all ages and shipped globally later this year. At Strap Technologies, we believe that autonomy and independence are human rights. I agree with this 100%, not luxuries. Our goal is to be the first replacement of the white cane, giving the visually impaired a long overdue hands-free experience. Use code BLINDTECH, and the website is strap.tech for 50% off the current total price of a Strap device. The current total price, they have a current price, pre-order price of $500. If you order with this code, it is $250. So let's just be very clear on that.
Just to make that clear, because I know there's been a little bit of debate on a couple of mailing lists. The original price, I'm not sure why people can't read, but that's okay. The original price was $750, which they then discounted to $500, and with our code, it's now discounted to $250. It's amazing.
Yes. So the way that it works is that you can pre-order it, and if you wish, you can pay either the full price, or you can just pay $50 now, and you get charged the rest if it ships. They also have on their website a new statement that says that they will refund you fully if this Strap device does not meet your expectations. So maybe worth checking out. I know some people have purchased this device. And,
yeah, I actually bought mine late Saturday. Well, it would have been Saturday morning your time as well. So mine should,
nice.
Well, whenever they end up shipping it, hopefully it'll. We should all have one. Which would be
I'm
good.
just surprised that it's not $2,500.
Yeah. No.
Exactly. And I honestly don't understand, and I'm sorry, I'm going to say this here and now. I don't get why you would think that $250 is ridiculously expensive for an aid. Now, I don't understand why you'd think that was expensive for an aid when you're paying for a Braille display for $10,000.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I really don't understand.
Yeah, and canes, I mean, look, just for me personally and my budget, 250 was about, I couldn't really gone higher than that. So I understand. I wouldn't have wanted to for for a first generation product. We don't really know what it's going to be. It's probably going to be a lot of glitches, probably some things it's not going to do well. But for 250,
it's pretty reasonable.
I was very happy about it.
Yeah, and I support the innovation, and I am one, and I know that a lot of blind friends of mine will disagree. I do want to see the cane replaced. And by replaced, I don't mean that the cane police will come steal your cane. I just mean that I like to see another solution for navigation other than a cane or a dog. And I think this solution may work. We'll see. I have some reservations about some things, but it's worth trying. But anyway,
you can't
check that out.
You can't put the product down, and this is what I urge people to think about. Don't put a product down until you've actually tried it.
Yeah.
I think I really hope that the team at Strap do actually allow the opportunity for people to try the product, whether they get it out to conventions or, expos, whatever. But get the product out there. Hopefully we'll see what the first generation's like. I'm not, like you said, Kurt, I'm not necessarily expecting a huge amount out of this first one.
Yep. And we'll be the first one to bring it to you live on BTG. Yeah. So once we get it, we'll actually do an outdoor demo, walking demo with it.
Yeah. And if we fall, then you'll hit it. Very cool.
If I die, and I will do it for you guys, and if I die as a result of Strap, then at least it'll be recorded live for you guys.
I think we should aim to try and have all three of us out and about at the same time, and then we might have a cacophony of kish-kishes. Cacophony of kish-kishes.
Yeah, that would be really fun. I need to get some kind of better out and about mic for doing a podcast.
Oh, no, I'm not even worried about it. If I'm going to die, I want to make sure that my good quality stuff still survives. So I'll just take the aftershocks. Very good.
We have 2 comments here in the chat, and we have one here from Wilmer.
Wilma! Hello?
Have you used Autohour?
Who?
Autohour. It's a navigation app. No, I've never heard of this thing.
Never
heard of it either.
We're always learning something new. So no.
Can you tell us a bit more about it? Yeah.
Tell us more about it, or we'll just look it up and maybe do a demo. Or if you want to record a demo for us, we're happy to play that on the BTG. No, never heard of this thing.
Never heard of it either.
We have a new person here, Shahzada. Got a bad with names. I hope I got it right. Good morning, according to Indian time. Good morning, Shahzada. Glad that you're in here. Thomas Chan, I'm not going to read your comment. Very good. At least it has nothing to do with milk, but very good. I like your
He
comment.
said the M word.
Yeah. What's going on? Can I kick you out? Very good.
Nasty stuff. Anyway, the future of tech. And I start out by this article that's being passed around about this future of screen reader that was passed around by Numa Solutions.
Yeah.
And apparently there's a team that's working on a screen reader that's supposed to be driven by AI. And
I have a lot of reservations about this.
When I read this article, the first thing that comes to mind is, in order to come up with a new product, you have to understand how the current screen reader market works.
Yeah.
And you have to understand what screen readers today are capable of. And I think they address this by talking about how screen readers today, all they do is just read the HTML of a web page. No, that's not actually all they do at all. So I don't know. I think in order for any developer to really innovate, the first step is understand the limitations of what we have now. Think outside of the box. Don't talk to blind people. Don't ask them what they want because they don't know. Innovate out of the box. Come up with something innovative, and see how far you get. Now, is this to say I'm against AI? No. I think AI is great, but one of my problems with these kind of things is who makes the decision as to what I should view. So, because you can make a screen reader that blocks out all the ads. You can make a screen reader that skips over all those navigational links. You could do all kinds of things. But what if I want to see those? I mean, what, as a blind person, does that mean I wouldn't be interested in some particular ad? I mean,
the other thing that's very concerning, Nim, and I think this is a big problem for the future, and this is where we were talking about organisations like the NFB, Blind Citizens Australia over here, etc., getting involved in, is if people creating web pages and creating apps have guidelines to follow, clear guidelines that are worldwide and recognised, which we sadly don't seem to have, or aren't prominent, people don't know about them, I think that would solve a lot of these issues. And AI is a dangerous, in my mind anyway, like you said, is a dangerous thing to go down, because you're basically having somebody tell you what you should be able to do with, or be able to see, or be able to do with that product. And I don't like that either.
And just think about how wrong AI gets it right now.
Exactly.
So...
You know, half the time when it describes picture, Alicia will turn around and say, that's nothing like what the picture is. Like, it's just completely wrong. So
I would love to see us go down the AI route, but there are a lot of things that AI is limited in.
It's just not that great at the moment.
It needs to be part of the solution, and it needs to be something that you as the user can
I agree, Kurt. It needs to be part of the solution, not just the only part of the solution. You know,
and
not just the solution.
The configurability of it has to be on the user's end to see, okay, what do I want to see? How do I want this to behave? And I don't know if AI is quite there yet.
Oh, it's definitely not there.
No.
Not at
Carrie,
the moment.
what would you like to see moving forward?
I think for screen readers, or for just in general, or what do you think?
In general, yeah.
A lot of the technology, I think, has kind of been getting a little bit boring. especially in the smartphone market, some in the computer market, and even in the assistive technology market, especially in the low vision end. Everything's just pretty much the same. They try to upgrade the camera, try to upgrade what is it, the screens, try to upgrade all these operating systems, and I don't feel like there really has been anything particularly new except maybe voice commands, which a lot of the time they don't understand. uh, but I'd like to see them come up with something new. And there's actually something called Mojo Vision, which is a contact lens now that they're working on. But it's only going to help a very limited amount of people that still have a good amount of vision. And I would like something like that. Like, for example, they have AR and VR headsets that basically act like a CCTV or video magnifier on your face. And those, I have tried a couple of them, and they are just so heavy. They're uncomfortable. And you're so isolated from the rest of the world, which might be good if you have a VR headset and you want to play a game or something, but not when you're
Can somebody tell me, speaking of lenses and stuff, what are these new ones called auto lenses that I keep hearing people buying? I think they're called auto lenses or auto lenses.
Auto lenses? I have no idea.
You know what they do? They make your face automatic, so it automatically swivels. You know, when it sees something, it goes left, right, left, right.
I don't know. I keep hearing people buying them, and they're raving on about them. And I don't know anything about them, but
your face automatically go up and down, swivels anytime it sees something. Then your face swivel. Very good. Yeah.
I actually completely agree, Carrie, and I think the problem that we have at the moment is that worldwide there's just no. I don't know. There's nothing really innovative coming out. I don't know. Technology is really stagnated in the last couple of years, and it's I don't know. It's kind of things aren't really
multi-focus lens. I'm not sure what that is, Thomas.
Okay, it's a multi-focus lens. Thanks, Thomas. Yeah, I don't know what it's supposed to do, but a lot of blindies I seem to hear are buying it over here. I don't know what they.
It helps you focus on multiple things. I don't know. That sounds like an ADD lens, maybe.
Maybe.
So, Marco, I wish. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. If you were.
Yeah.
So I wish that we had. Wow, sorry, I lost my thought here. Carry on, it'll come back.
Blonde syndrome. Let's see, Shazada. Shazada says, one question out of today's talk. The question is, I don't understand this question, but it says, is there any universities that are giving under GT?
Undergraduates.
Undergraduate
what, though?
Yeah.
Giving under GT.
The question is,
I don't know.
Undergraduate.
Oh, they moved from near vision to far fit automatically. Okay, very good. See, I told you it was an automatic thing. You know,
I knew I had the wording right. I'm sure that's what they're called, but a lot of blindies seem to
be mad expensive. Yeah.
What I was gonna say, sorry, the track just came back, is the lack of innovation. I don't think is limited just to blind people. I think society in general has gotten very caught up with this idea that a phone is just a phone and you need this separate computer. And these pocket computers in our pockets have the power to do most things that people need, but, you know, people just use them as phones because that's kind of what we're used to. And you know, I think if we could get away from touch screens again, get back to actual keyboards, I think that would be a great first step.
My biggest fear is that, and I think you touched on it earlier, Nim, is that we are really falling behind in the touch screen for space.
Yeah.
It's a real big concern of mine. I actually think that in about 5 or 10 years' time, unless people, like Nima said earlier, create apps that work with these products, we're basically going to be pretty much cut out. And because no one's coming out with legislation to to try and combat this. I think there could be a time in the next few years where we're pretty much unable to use certain products
See, I think
without
we're already
assistance.
there. I think
I think we're definitely
are
already there.
now.
We're pretty close to being there now, but I think we'll be more and more there. If it's a big concern, a huge concern, and nobody seems to be really taking it seriously. And if they are taking it seriously, I'm not hearing about it because I don't know. I think it's a big problem, and I honestly thought 20 years ago, and I said this to a lot of people at the time, can you imagine what technology is going to be like in 20 years? I thought it was pretty good then. In fact, I think for blind people generally, technology may have almost been better then.
Yeah.
Which is scary.
I think another type of thing that needs to happen is every company, every app, everything, you need to really think about making your product accessible, usable by the most number of people. If you think that blind people won't use your product because it's too visual, think about it again.
Yeah.
And think about it. Why would blind people use it? Not because they're blind, but because they're people. And moreover, think about the type of innovations that you could make that would help the general user if you just made it accessible to blind people.
Yeah.
And I think the past kind of can inform the future in that way.
Honestly, I don't think anything's going to happen to touch screens until there's probably some type of brain control where it can take your brain waves and
Yeah.
use that. I don't think people are going to go back to, just
no, they
regular
won't now.
buttons.
No. But I think even regular
And-
buttons were more efficient for sighted people in a lot of ways too.
You know what? I think that's true. But right now, I think there's a huge focus on voice and voice control.
And I have absolutely nothing wrong with the way it's going. What I'm saying is that we need to have action from our, from people involved in those fields like NFB, AFB, and BCA, etc., from around the world that actually say, right, we need to actually get moving on making it so that blind people don't fall behind in this area. I think
that
it's
may
crucial.
be by filing the first billion-dollar lawsuits.
And this is what we were saying. Well,
Sometimes
Nima was
the
saying
only thing
earlier.
that helps with companies is talking about
money.
their pocketbooks.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
And
unless
this is
they
what you were
feel
saying
hurt.
earlier. Let's concentrate less on. And again, I very much like audio description, but this is an area that to me is far more important.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
Than audio description.
And unless companies feel very much devastated by the cost of not putting in accessibility, I'm not so sure that
They're
will.
not gonna
I've
do
been
anything about
interacting
it.
with the devs on Telegram to try to get them to
good
work
luck.
on their iOS app and their web app. And the response that I've gotten from the developers on Telegram is actually what needs to happen is the user can submit what are they? Wow, I can't speak. They can submit changes, or basically do a poll and then make those changes and then upload those to GitHub, and then the developer will approve those. And my response is, have you thought about whether or not people with wheelchairs should be building the ramps to access the buildings that someone else builds?
Yeah.
Because we don't ask people with wheelchairs and say, hey, you should build the ramp. If you want to come in our building, you should build the ramp.
Well, a lot of these
But we
changes
are
only
doing
happen
that.
when it's obvious to, especially to sighted people, which is, like wheelchairs or like ramps being needed to be built, etc. Now, unfortunately, touch screens and stuff like this aren't that obvious to many people. They don't think about this sort of stuff.
Yeah, and I think every app, and I actually think the changes probably need to come from the very top. Google and Apple. If you put out an app on the App Store, and this is only apps, right? So it needs to happen for appliances, the consumer commissions, and all this need to get involved too.
Yeah.
But let's say, for example, just basic apps. If you come out with an app, it has to meet basic accessibility guidelines. It has to have buttons that are labeled. It has to be able to be navigable with a keyboard or without.
Yeah.
It has to have a certain level of contrast. 100% has to meet those requirements. Otherwise, it is rejected from the App Store. There are other guidelines that Apple has. For example, if the thing has security issues, it doesn't get allowed.
Sure. Yeah.
But accessibility is not viewed at that same level of priority. And
Yeah.
I think it should be.
It should be.
Definitely they don't prioritize it, but I think too a lot of the time is the lack of awareness, and
Yeah.
Exactly.
even when they are aware of accessibility issues, they usually act as if it's just a press thing, we'll
Yeah.
fix our accessibility, blah blah blah,
Right.
but they
Look
don't
how inclusive we
actually,
are.
exactly, but
Yeah.
they don't actually make those changes.
You only get it one way or the other. They either act that way or they don't care. And they just go, well, this is too hard.
Right.
And there's only 1% of people that
Well,
care about this.
This
so
is like
too
Google,
bad, so
frankly, paying Molly Burke to do. And I'm very sorry if your name is Molly Burke. I'm not meaning to trash your channel.
Hey, that's the name of my putty cat.
I'm
Oh,
not trying
God.
to trash your
Very good.
channel, but I will say
yeah.
this because I believe this to be true. When you don't use TalkBack and you are doing your videos and all this, and you're always using voiceover, and then you create a video as a YouTuber that has 2 million subscribers, and you talk about how you've been using TalkBack and you find TalkBack really valuable, and you don't really do much with it, but Google's paying you to advertise their new TalkBack.
Yeah.
That is what companies are doing, and
Yes.
that is publicity, but the wrong kind of publicity. You will
Right.
get a lot of publicity if you do things right, but that's not the right
Yeah.
way to go about it.
I mean, if they're gonna pay you, you can still be honest. Say that this exists and this is good, but don't say that you use it.
Right.
Especially
Yeah.
when people can go back to your other videos
To
and
your other videos
hear
and see that you're
you
using
use
voiceover.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's almost, in my experience, and Nim, I know you probably have a lot more actually with, Google and in the corporate world, but, in the companies I've worked at, it seems like the accessibility teams are very siloed, and they do their, little accessibility patches and updates and whatever, and then everyone else thinks it's taken care of.
Yeah.
And they're like, this.
And I think accessibility has to be from the ground up. Like, I think for every engineer that is developing something, you need to have somebody sitting with them side by side that understands accessibility, even at a basic level, even at a basic, like, this is the contrast that you need, this is the whatever, like, build this in from the very beginning. Because
But it's not only that, I think
it actually is much more
I think it's
difficult
also
to do.
important, though, that, and I've worked at a company in the past where it was like this, it has to be kind of a cultural thing. If you get everybody on board and they feel that it is important, this is important, we want to make sure that we can involve everyone. Everyone needs to be able to use
even
this,
if you say it's important, though, you do have to get it into the hands of the user that
Yes.
actually
Correct. And they have
uses
to be
that
able to-
product.
they
Or
have
you
to be
need
able to let you know.
need to co-develop with those users.
That's right.
Let's
But I think,
do the
unfortunately-
clarification here. Shazada says, I am sorry about a previous comment. It was sending in incomplete. Oh, okay. I want to ask you, that is their university who are providing graduate degrees in accessibility. Accessibility isn't really a
not a
degree
degree.
field. There are, depending on the field that you're in. So, I mean, what exactly do you want to do with accessibility? But there are certifications for web accessibility, for
It's
example.
more of a certificate type thing, rather
And
than
there are degrees in like universal experience, or sorry,
right.
user experience design, that kind
Yep.
of, and they'll touch on accessibility, but that's only part of it.
That's right.
Do you think they should have these programs as a degree? What do you think?
I'm not so sure
No.
that it should be a degree. I think it should be something that is very attainable for anyone.
And I think
Because
it
if
should
you
be a
lock it
unit,
behind a
actually. I think
degree,
if
then
you're
all
doing a
of sudden
degree,
you lock out a lot
yeah.
of people that may be able to get into the space that wouldn't, because they can't afford to go to college and get a degree.
Yeah.
I think it should be part of it. Like if you're doing a degree and there's a unit involved in accessibility, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
I think just
I mean,
a
I think
degree
it
on
should
its
be
own is a bit
mandatory
much.
for computer science.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
absolutely.
agree.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you're getting like IT certifications to be, or not IT as much as coding or development certifications, that should be at
should
least
be part
touched
of
on
it.
in all of them.
Yeah, it should be a mandatory thing there.
Yeah, yeah. So that's basically, I think to that commenter, I forget the person's name, what was it? Nim Shazadia or something? I think you said.
Shazada, if I'm saying it right.
Shazada,
I'm very
yeah.
sorry if I'm not.
I don't think you're going to find a degree in such a thing, but as Kurt touched on, something to do with IT or computer science or programming or coding of some sort, then it'll probably be offered as a unit.
Even engineering.
Or engineering.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, I don't know if there's anything else that you guys have. Otherwise, we'll jump to our app of the week. Do you guys have anything else to add on the history or the future?
No,
There's
nothing.
More to talk about. I just hope that people think about, like we've talked about a couple of times, really think about the future of where things are going. And I think it's important that blind and visually impaired people really think about maybe a lawsuit, like you suggested, Nimmer.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it's
and
going
there
to
may
take.
be other ways to go about it. I don't
there might
know.
be
I
other
just-
ways to go about it, but we really need to move away from audio description and other stuff, and we need to think about how we're going to find the world and in 10 years or 20 years' time and how accessibility is going to be.
And I think the
Sorry,
reality is go ahead, Carrie.
No, also I want to say that, I think that there is a lot of hesitation in the blind community of speaking out. I mean, there are a lot of us who are vocal and share our feedback and make a lot of noise, but there's a lot of people that just, kind of hide out in wherever they are. And I don't know if they're just satisfied with how things are or if they just don't want to speak out. And I mean, I
think a lot of people maybe think that they're going to say the wrong thing, and that's actually for me more frustrating. I actually really like it if people speak out, and if we don't agree, it is what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Like.
So I see two kind of trends in the blind community that are almost like extreme opposite trends. And I'll be brief. This just kind of reminded me, this is kind of where I wanted to go, was one, you have the people who anytime an app is accessible, they're like so thankful. And it's like, we shouldn't expect this. They went out of their way to do this. Let's be so grateful. And, people who don't think accessibility is a right because they're so used to not having it. And so that when they do, they're like effusively grateful, like they went out of like the developers went out of their way to make it happen. Then on the other end, you have people who complain about everything and this is not accessible, this is not usable, when maybe they haven't tried very hard, or maybe it isn't accessible and they're just yelling instead of trying to actually have a dialogue. I think
I've actually seen lawsuits, Kurt, and it's really harmful, but I've seen lawsuits on things that I use, and people are saying, no, this isn't accessible and a blind person can't use it.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's actually something I use. Could it be better? Sure. But I use that product, whatever it is. Like, I think it was Domino's or somebody that was sued.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I use this. I'm not saying it's perfect, but to say it's not accessible, to actually go out of your way to sue this
accessible.
company.
Right.
It's silly.
Yeah. And so it's like both of those extremes, I think,
Both
are
of
very
those
unhealthy.
extremes are bad. Yeah, they are. And it's
and I think it's really important that people
to expect things to stay the same as well, and that's kind of that really is an annoyance for me. All the people that say the cane is great, and if you believe that, that's okay, but don't bash a product before you've even seen it.
Right.
So,
well, and
I also think it's very important that a lot of our blindness organisations are made a little bit more accountable. I think they kind of just plod on through life and get along with doing whatever they're doing, and there's not a huge
they
amount.
do what they're used to, and that's the thing. The training centers, they teach JAWS. Why? Because they've always taught JAWS.
That's what they've
NVDA
always done.
Sucks. They teach JAWS.
Or they teach you iOS.
iPhone. Yeah, don't
iOS,
go to that Android.
iOS only. Never mind that someone might benefit from Android. That it's not even considered as something that you might want to learn.
Exactly.
And I have a problem with that.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying, and I think people need to make these organisations more accountable. They really do.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think also we should, as in the blind or visually impaired, we should just have as much choice as anybody else too. So
Yeah.
Exactly. And options should be available to everybody and should be discussed. And that's what we were saying. It's annoying that, I don't know, it's only a few options here or there, but there's so many others. Those of us that know about the options know about it, but there's plenty of blind people that don't. And it is frustrating.
LiveAccessible, thank you so much, Carrie, for coming on and joining us. You're welcome to stay, of course, and or not. And we're going to go on to the app of the week. But I want to thank you so much for coming on and talking to us and all about.
And thanks for such a good channel.
Present and future. Yes, thank you for all your content. We definitely enjoy it. And we hope that you'll consider coming back. You're welcome and invited anytime. please just come on anytime at all.
Yeah.
And if you want to stay and chat with us, you're definitely welcome to do it. I don't mean to kick you off, but I think we're going to move on to the app of the week.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for having me on. And yeah, I'll stick around. I want to hear about the app of the week.
Excellent.
Very good.
All right, so let's talk about YouTube Music. What is YouTube Music? It is the successor
what is it?
of it is the successor of Google Play Music. Google Play Music, well, it used to be this music app that's on Android and web that you could use to play your music.
Oh,
And-
Google killed that, didn't they?
It's a streaming service. Yeah, they killed it, and they replaced it with
cool.
YouTube Music.
So surprising.
Put it under the YouTube
That's
brand.
amazing.
Yes, exactly. So, as usual, I'm going to demonstrate it on the web and talk a little bit about its web interface, and I will also demonstrate it hopefully on Android, but I'll be pretty brief. But we'll just go through it. If you have any questions about it, or you want us to really do more of a deep dive, please let me know. This is just sort of a get started type tutorial. I'm going to make sure everybody's muted. Very good. And I'll do a screen share. And I'm doing this using a screen reader called NVDA. And I'm going to slow down the speech as well. So let's do a screen share. And here we go. Share audio. Share. There we go. Okay. So now let's slow down the speech. There we go. And I don't know. Some people probably they don't like eSpeak. So let's do
Microsoft Speech API for eSpeak and my Windows 1.
Windows 1 Core
StreamYard
Voices.
desktop content shared Google.
There we go. Let's do that, huh?
New tab Google.
So let's go to
C.YouTube.
music.youtube.com.
Selection removed. Music.youtube.com. Toolbar. View. YouTube. Tool. YouTube Music.
All right.
HTTP. Toolbar. YouTube Music document.
What's going on here?
HTTPS.
Hey, my internet is being a little bit
List
slow.
with 11 items.
So let's do a
Navigation
search for royalty-free music.
YouTube Music document.
Here we go.
Main
So to search for music, I just did the slash. As is common in Gmail and other apps, you can do the slash. And again, I'm using it with browse mode off, with forms mode in JAWS on, virtual cursor off. This is how you use this particular app.
royalty-free music link.
So there we go. Found some royalty-free music.
Getting description.
And I just got into it.
YouTube.
I just hit enter.
Main landmark. Background instrumental royalty. Main landmark. Open
So now I'm going to hit the space bar to pause. And as is usual with
clickable
YouTube Music,
keyboard
you can hit the question mark, shift / to get a list of keyboard
playback.
shortcuts.
Play/pause.
So
Space
play,
or.
Play, pause, space.
Next song.
Next song.
J or shift.
J, and it gives you different keyboard shortcuts if there are alternatives.
Previous song.
Previous song.
K or shift plus P.
K or shift P.
Forward 10s.
Forward 10 seconds.
L or shift plus right arrow.
L or shift right arrow.
Back 10s.
Back 10 seconds.
H or shift
H
plus
or
left
shift
arrow.
left arrow.
Forward 1s.
Forward 1 second.
Shift plus L or control
Shift L
plus
or
shift plus
control,
right arrow.
shift right arrow.
Back 1s. Shift plus H
Shift
or
H
control
or
plus
control,
shift plus
shift
left
left
arrow.
arrow.
Shuffle Q.
Shuffle
S.
is S.
Toggle repeat.
Toggle repeat
R.
is R.
General. Increase volume.
Increase volume.
Equals.
Equal sign.
Decrease volume. T
Decrease
dash.
minus is the minus sign is decrease volume, and I have my punctuation off, so there we go.
Toggle mute. M.
Toggle mute is the M key.
Toggle Q / expanded player.
You can do the Q or an expanded
Q or
player.
ESC.
Q or escape.
Toggle full screen.
Full
F.
screen F.
Like current song. Plus.
Like current sign is the plus sign.
Dislike current. Line.
Dislike current song is the underline.
Navigation. Go to home. GH.
Go home is GH.
Go to explore.
Again, this is sounding familiar from other apps like Twitter and Gmail and that kind of thing.
G. Go to explore.
Go
G.
to explore.
Go
GE.
to library.
Go to
GL.
library. GL.
Go to settings.
Go to settings.
G. Search. Slash.
So all these keyboard commands,
Slash.
search is the slash, and there we go.
Main.
That's all the keyboard shortcuts. If you don't remember them, you can always just do the question mark. So let's hit spacebar, and we'll play some music, royalty-free, I hope. If it's not, then we're going to get a strike.
Press ESC to exit full screen alert. Background instrumental royalty. Main landmark. YouTube video.
So now we're listening to some music. Very good, very good. Now let's say I'm going to skip forward. I'm going to hit shift right arrow. Shift backwards. Go left arrow. There we go. Very good, very good. Very good. Let's hit pause. And let's hit the J key. I'm going to start playing again. I'm going to hit J and see if that goes to the next song.
Background instrumental.
Very good. I like this song. All right, I'm going to hit the like button. I'm going to hit L for like. Well, actually, it's not L. Sorry, it's the plus sign. Very good. Now I'm hitting the minus to turn the volume down. There we go. And let's turn the volume up. And let's hit J again. There we go. So that is YouTube Music. Very much a simple interface. And that is YouTube Music.
Leave site. Dialog. Different heaven YouTube.
And yes, I want to leave the site.
StreamYard.com is stop.
There we go. So I'm going to stop sharing, and let's look at the comments, see if there's any comments before we move on to the Android one. It sounds like Michael Bolton's song. Oops, I hope that's royalty-free, Thomas. If it's not, we're going to get banned. Ted Rose, can you recommend any tutorial? My Mac Mini is just gathering dust, and I haven't been able to find any good lessons. Yeah, Mac Visionaries podcast. I know that Mac Visionaries has some good stuff. Also, I think, what is that? AppleVis does have good content on Mac stuff as well. So there are a number of things like that. Joker, is YouTube Music worth it? I already use YouTube to listen to music if I can't find the YouTube music I want on other streaming apps. Yeah, the YouTube Music is just the YouTube, it's the music. You will find more music, and you will also be able to not watch the video when you're doing YouTube Music. Otherwise, you can just look it up on YouTube, and that's fine. Depends on if you have the ads or anything, but it's really up to you. Joker also says, a friend who has a developer account told me that Apple would be more accessible with their apps or be removed from the App Store or not, either this year or next year. Well, let's hope that they mandate that. I hope that they mandate that. Thomas, we love your live voices. That's good. I'm glad. All right, so I think I've addressed the comments. All right, let's go on to the Android version here real quick, and we'll just plug my phone into my outer face. You like?
Yeah, very good.
Okay, let's see here.
Can you turn that up a wee bit?
Yes, I can. Maybe if I can figure out which volume adjusts it. Let's see. Very good. All right, is that any better?
If you can get it a tad louder. Yep, there we go. That's pretty good now.
All right, very good. I like. So let's go to, I'm going to open up YouTube Music. Here we go. Open YouTube Music.
And maybe whilst you're at it, just slow down the voice as well.
Oh, you want me to slow down the voice?
Yes, please slow down the voice.
This is getting very difficult now. Okay, I'll slow down the voice.
Should change the speech engine too.
Hey, the voice is too slow. Can you speed it up a little?
Okay, we'll change the speech engine since Carrie LiveAccessible says so.
I agree.
Well, I don't care about you, Thomas, not Thomas.
Thomas,
Marco,
hello?
I would do it for Carrie, but not for you.
Attention.
Okay. That's a dreadful voice.
Using ETI eloquence
That's
TTS.
pathetic.
Oh, much better,
Back.
much better.
Text to back.
All right,
It
so
music.
now we've got It Music. So we've got at the bottom, let's see here.
Amazon overview.
Let's actually just close out the
Pixel
app
launcher.
and make sure that it's
YouTube
reopened
Music.
so we have the true
Actions.
interface here.
Close.
There we go.
Showing
Let's open up again.
home. Search and mail. Edit box. Table notification shade. Screen. Home. Pixel launcher. Voice search. Hi, how can I
Open
help?
YouTube Music.
Tap to dismiss assistant.
Open YouTube Music.
It music.
Thank you.
Search button.
All right, so
Showing
at the
items 1
top,
to 6 of 52.
at the top we have a search button. And this
Account.
is
Surcast.
sort of at the top. We have a cast button.
Cast. Disk search.
We have
button.
a search button, and then to the right of that, we have
Commute account.
the account button, and that's you want to switch accounts or things like that.
Focus.
Then
workout.
we have some different categories. At the top, we have workout,
Focus. Relax.
commute, these kind of things. And it will recommend music based on those activities that you might want to do. And it is, as it gets to know you, it'll kind of figure out, oh, this is what I like to listen to. And so this might be what you want to play. So let's go to my commute tab.
Showing item for your commute metal drive.
Metal Drive. All right. So let's go to
Back
Metal Drive.
button.
Oh, I'm not going to play it though. But now I've got in here
Foundations of Metal by YouTube Music.
and
Playlist 74 songs.
so this is a playlist, has 74 songs.
Off. Add to library.
I can
Switch.
add this playlist to my library.
Download. Button.
I can download it.
Menu. Button.
There's a menu that has more options. Let's see what options there
YouTube
are.
Music. Foundations of Shuffle Play.
Shuffle play,
Start radio.
start radio. And a radio is basically it'll play, well, things either by that artist or similar to the type of music that you're
Sneak.
playing.
Play next.
Play next,
Add to queue.
add to queue,
Add to playlist.
add to playlist,
Share.
share.
Back. It music. Menu. Button.
Okay, so now
Shuffle. Button.
I just got out of the menu and there is a shuffle here
Play
as well.
all. Button.
And I can also do a play all. Let's go back.
Back. But
Let's keep exploring the app. Below that, below all
Workout.
those categories,
for your commute metal hoda list.
there are also
2050 workout. Foundations of
different
discovery
music that
the
I
new
might
American tab. Home.
and along the bottom there are different tabs. We have home,
Tab. Explore.
explore,
Tab. Library.
library. So this is music that I've added to my library or music that I said that I like will show up in my library. And those are the three tabs at the bottom. So let's just do a quick search for
Selected. Cast. Search.
royalty
Search a
music,
screen
shall
away
we?
mode. ROALTY. Royalty. P deleted. REE. Free. C. Submitting text.
Royalty-free music.
Maximum. Community playlists. Opera selected. It music. Top result. Royalty-free music. 620.
So
Back.
let get in
Button.
here. There we go. Royalty-free music. And let's do a play all so I can show you some of the play controls.
Royalty-free. Shuffle. Radio. Button.
And let's do a shuffle,
Shuffle.
shall we? Or
Back.
let's do a shuffle.
Shuffle.
There we go. Da-da-dum, bum, bum. There we go, and I just paused it. I did a 2-finger double tap to pause. And let's see what we have here as for play
Collapse.
control.
Previous shuffle off.
So we
Button.
have shuffle on the left, we have
Previous
previous
song, button.
and these are on the bottom.
Play video. Button.
Play video,
Next song. Button.
next song,
Repeat off. Button.
repeat.
Dislike. Button.
Then we have dislike,
Selected. Come back my like.
the name of
button.
the song, and the like button.
Royalty-free music.
Oh, they have
crew.
dislikes still.
Minimize. Button.
Yes.
We
And if
always
I
seem
don't
to
want
get
this-
one dislike. Very good.
If I don't want this big music player to be showed up, this full screen, I can do a minimize, and then, I can maximize it again later if
Now
I like.
playing. Menu.
And
Video
there's
player.
also a menu.
Menu.
Let's see
button.
what's in this menu.
YouTube music. Come back my dislike. Like.
Some of
button.
the same options that I have here
Start
in
radio,
the menu
play
as well,
next.
but I can also start radio, play
Add the
next,
queue.
add the queue,
Back.
and so on.
It music. Menu. Related. Local selected.
And
Up
along
next.
the bottom,
Tab.
there are more tabs at the very bottom. Up next,
Lyrics. Tab. Disabled.
lyrics, if there are lyrics.
Related. Tab.
Related, it'll show you related to that, whatever it is that you're playing.
So back.
Let's go back.
Tab. Library. It
And
music.
let's go into the
Search.
account and
But
see what
battery
kind of
7.
settings we
Search.
have.
Button. It. Cast. Share. Back. Rate. Back.
Oh, let's go
Royal.
back.
Uploads. Tab. Uploads. Selected. It music. Clear search. Button.
Let's go back
Back.
again.
Royalty-free music. End of field. Royalty-free music. At keyboard hidden. Tab.
Go back again. There we go. I guess I could have just hit the home button.
Account. It music.
Let's go to account. There we
Account.
go.
Close. Account. Channel icon.
Channel.
Nimmerjabber. Manage your Google account. YouTube Premium.
Manage my account.
Your channel.
My
downloads.
channel. Downloads.
History.
History.
Paid memberships.
Paid memberships.
Switch account. Settings.
Settings. Let's go into settings.
Settings.
Let's see what we have
Back.
here.
Setting. Library and downloads.
Library and downloads.
Stream via Wi-Fi. Library.
So let's go in here.
Back. Library. Storage. 53.83 GB free. 0 MB used.
So this is my storage. Tells me how much I have free.
Show device files. Show all audio files on your device. Off. Switch.
This can show me all of the device files on my device.
Connection. Download over Wi-Fi and unrestricted mobile data only.
So by default, it is set to restrict it just to Wi-Fi, and I have it set to Wi-Fi and mobile data.
Audio quality. Normal.
Audio quality, you can adjust this. Let's go in here.
Audio quality. Low. Checked.
We have
Normal.
low,
High.
normal, high.
Cancel.
Let's
High.
set it to high. Why not?
Settings. Audio. Video quality. Audio only if available.
Video quality, and I have that set to just audio if available.
Smart downloads. Off.
Smart
Switch.
downloads, it can automatically download things for you. I don't want that. I don't like that.
Clear
Very
downloads.
clever.
You can clear your downloads. And let's go
Back.
back.
Stream via. Don't.
You can
stream
stream
via
via
Wi-Fi
Wi-Fi
only. To reduce
only.
carrier data charges, do not stream music over mobile networks. Off. Switch.
And I don't want that on, so I have that off.
Don't play music videos. Switch music videos to audio only or album versions of songs. Off. Switch.
And this is an option to not play videos if it finds the song.
Limit mobile data usage. Only stream HD video on Wi-Fi. Off. Switch.
You can limit data usage, and some of these may be on by default, and I've gone in and adjusted them.
Audio quality on mobile network. Normal.
And again, you can adjust this. Low, normal,
Audio
high.
quality. Checked. Normal. Low. Check. High.
And you can set this to
Settings.
high or low
Audio
or normal.
quality. Audio quality on Wi-Fi. Normal.
And you can set this to
Audio
Wi-Fi.
checked. High.
Let's set this to high, and
Settings.
let's see if it makes any difference in the
Equalizer.
music.
Adjust audio settings.
By the way, there's an equalizer. There we go. So I can adjust audio settings. And let's go in here.
Equalizer. Off. Drop. Off. Switch.
Let's turn it on. There we go.
Drop down list. FX booster.
So there's FX booster.
Pop-up window. Normal.
Normal.
Classical.
Classical. Dance.
Flat.
Flat.
Folk.
Folk.
Heavy metal. Hip hop.
Heavy metal. Hip hop.
Jazz.
Jazz.
Pop.
Pop.
Rock.
Rock.
Checked. FX booster. User.
FX booster. User.
Checked.
Whatever
Rock.
that is.
Folk. Flat. Dance. Classic. Normal.
Let's go normal.
Normal.
I don't know what
Equalizer.
this FX booster is.
Drop down. Plus 10 decibels. 0 decibels. Minus 10 decibels. 65%. 60 hertz. 50%. 230 hertz.
So you have a full control over the EQ.
50%. 910 hertz. 50%, 4 kHz, 65%, 14 kHz, bass boost, 67%.
As you can
Back
see, you can really
button,
adjust things in here. So I'm going to go
settings,
back.
equal, show animated thumbnails, always.
Oh, you can show thumbtacks. Very good.
Restricted mode hides songs and videos that may contain inappropriate content flagged by users and other signals.
And we
No
can
filter
restrict
is on
content. There we go. I don't want restricted videos. I have that off.
Back.
Anyway,
button,
that's about all the
navigation
settings in
bar.
here. So there are quite a lot of settings.
music.
You can explore those.
Restricted tag, come back, the new play next video, play video, button.
So let's
video player.
I'm going to expand the video player towards the bottom. You can, you can tap on that and it'll expand
Play video button.
The video player, and that's for the audio, the minimized audio player. And I'm going to hit play. And that's with the EQ thing on, and I've set it up as high, whatever that thing is, the high, the audio quality. So anyway, I hope that you've enjoyed this review of YouTube Music on Android, and please know that the iOS version is pretty much identical.
And I've got to say that with most of these players like Spotify, Deezer and all that, they're very much the same on either platform, or very similar.
Now, do you have to pay for YouTube Music?
That's a really good question. And
kind of.
Yeah,
kind of.
so the YouTube Music, if you want to listen to just music and you're okay with ads or whatever, like a lot of that stuff you can do with YouTube or whatever. But if you want the subscription base, like you want to be able to actually look up your favorite song and you want to be able to add things to your libraries and all that, then you have to pay for YouTube Music. And a lot of times I think you get it when you get YouTube Premium. So if you have the no ads version of YouTube, then you're also getting YouTube Music along with YouTube Premium. So that's really the way to go. I think, and you can do it for your family. So if you have a lot of people in your household, you can get up to, I want to say 6 people and in your family, and you just pay $20 a month. And all those people can be on your YouTube family subscription, and you'll also get YouTube Music. And also, if you want to be able to use this with your favorite smart speaker, then you'll need to pay for that.
I by far think it's the best way to do it, actually, is through YouTube Premium, which is what I've got, just to get rid of those pesky ads. And plus you get it thrown in. You might as well get it that way for you.
Now, is it like Spotify? Because I know for Spotify, you can't actually pick specific songs all the time, at least on a smart speaker. What about YouTube Music? Can you still do that? You can ask
for whatever song that you like. You can ask for any song that you'd like. It doesn't mean it'll always find it, but a lot of times it will. And you can play that song. Sometimes there's a little bit of a difficulty between finding the song that you want and finding like a live version or something.
The right version. Yeah, the right version. And you get that with all of them. Deezer's the same. Spotify's the same. It's very annoying.
Yeah, I know with Alexa, you have to actually have the premium to even play it with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now with Google, I don't think you have to have premium. I think it works with Google, but I actually don't know because I've always had premium. So I think it work.
Does. It does.
But you might get an ad thrown in here or there or something like that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, if you want us to go more in depth, I went pretty in depth into the Android version actually, but if you want us to go more in depth into any of these apps, or if you'd like us to cover specific apps, please let us know. I know Thomas said something about Spotify. I don't have Spotify, but maybe if someone wants to record a demo for us, either that or I will have to get Spotify.
I'm happy to do Deezer. I don't use Spotify, so unfortunately, if you want a demo of Spotify, then send one in. That'd be good.
Yeah. Well, let's go to...
the highly exciting feedback, or what do we call it normally? Emails.
Yes, and we don't have very much, actually, for the last couple of weeks. We really haven't gotten very much feedback at all.
It's been quiet on the home front. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been pretty quiet, but we do have one piece of feedback that came in last week, I want to say. And let's see here. That was... This post is in regard to a comment I sent in last week regarding differences between Android and iOS accessibility. And this was, by the way, now probably 4 or 5 weeks ago. I had mentioned that I found some apps work better on Android to that I use are brand specific, and they are linked to 2 products I own. One is a Kasori air fryer. It can be controlled with your voice and app on your phones. I like the Android version better. The other app is linked to my thermostat. It is made by Emerson and is called Sensi. It is labeled better than the iOS version. Both these products can also be controlled through Google voice commands and Alexa commands. Thanks for your hard work. And this was from John Colwig. And he did write to us saying before that his Android apps he found were more accessible, and we asked him which ones those were. In my experience, it really varies. Some iOS ones are more accessible. Some Android ones are more accessible. It varies. The one feature that distinguishes iOS above anything else, and maybe you guys will disagree, but it's that fact that in iOS they do have screen recognition, and it will give you a boost in accessibility to those apps that don't have accessibility.
Yeah.
On phones that support it, of course, but it will give that boost to accessibility. Not that I think developers should count on that.
Right.
Right. Yes.
There is really some question about whether or not we should be even using that.
Yeah. And you have to know when to turn it off, too.
And that's also, in my mind, a bit of a slippery slope. It also makes developers sloppy and lazy, in my mind, but that's just what I think.
Well, I think it's better to have it within the screen reader.
Exactly. Yeah.
As opposed to something separate on the app or some other setting or something like that.
Completely agree.
We have another email from Rob. He says, hello, wondering if you have any resources for using Microsoft Teams with a screen reader, or if you would be willing to discuss it on the podcast. Since I started working remotely, my employer has been relying heavily on Teams, and I'm struggling with navigating while using a screen reader. The podcast is quite informative. This series on Google Apps helped me a lot, and I have since downloaded a third screen reader to add to my toolbox. Thanks. Robbie from Canada. Hello, Robbie from Canada.
Hello, Robbie.
Yeah.
Hey, Robbie.
We actually do have a Teams type thing in the works. I know Malik from our Telegram group, he was putting together something like that. And so it is something that we are working on, trying to get Teams to be demoed, and we'll probably put that up as a midweek podcast, I suspect, because I don't know how many people are using Teams. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But anyway, we will be doing something on Teams for sure in the upcoming future, because I know that a lot of people are wanting that. And Teams is usable with a screen reader. I would say it's kind of clunky.
Yeah.
But
it's definitely usable. Yeah, and it's definitely usable on Android and iOS if you use the apps on there. It's actually not that bad. Also, there are quite a few. If you do a little bit of Googling around and look for shortcuts, you can find a bit of a... there are sort of bits and pieces around on the web, but I think hopefully if we can get something together and release it as a podcast, I think it might help you going forward.
We've got here another email from Morali.
Hey, Morali, you've written in a couple of times.
Whoa.
Yep. I'm transitioning to Mac and learning the basics of VoiceOver, guided Office 365, and Adobe supported files. I need the support to learn how to open and read the files in different forms, Excel, PDF, PPT, with the help of shortcuts. Kindly advise. Morali, this goes for anyone else. If you don't know the shortcuts of a particular app, and I'm not meaning this to criticize, but I will say the best friend that you have is called, go to google.com. Very good, very good. And you go to Control L, very good, which is the command to go to the location bar in any browser. and you type in google.com. Very good, very good. You type in keyboard shortcut. Very good, very good. I'm not trying to be mean. I suspect that you probably are looking to get more in-depth training or tutorials or something. And what I will say is, yeah, there are, depending on the platform, you said you're using Mac Visionaries, Mac Power, there's another one, Apple Vis.
Apple Vis.
They tend to do this really well.
Yeah.
This is not to saying that we wouldn't consider doing that, because, I think we could do a Mac thing. But I would say that if you're just looking for the keyboard shortcuts, your best friend is to go to Google and type in keyboard shortcuts for specific product, PowerPoint, Office, whatever, and then you can even say on Mac.
And this is
I know
also
Microsoft
advertising.
and Google very much have those kind of lists, and they're available for that. So
they definitely are out there, and also advertising. I guess the Apple Vis podcast as well, Nim. I'm sure they would have covered this at some point. Maybe
I'd imagine.
And see what you can find there.
And finally, we have an email from David Miller. Hello, guys. Love the podcast. I have to ask, because it's driving me crazy. 47 states. What are the missing ones? Dave.
Hawaii would be one of them, wouldn't it? I don't think we've got anyone
Hawaii,
from Hawaii.
I believe we have, but we do not have Alaska.
We don't have Alaska.
And I believe the other one is either Rhode Island or Vermont. I looked this up last week, and we're actually up to 48 now.
Wow.
48 states and Washington, D.C. So,
very
yes, I
good.
believe Rhode Island or maybe Vermont, one of those two little tiny states there up in the Northeast. One of those two, and I believe Alaska we do not have.
And I think we've got a state from Australia. We got the Northern Territory covered. I don't think that one's in.
Yes, I think we do.
Oh, we do?
Yep.
Wow. Is there actually a blind person living there? That's... Wow. Very good.
We hope we addressed... There is another email. I'm just going to touch on it very quick, but we did address this, and I hope that you'll go back and listen to our podcast. This is from David, and I think he intended this to be a question that we asked on the NVDA podcast. He said, because of Microsoft Narrator's significant improvements, why should one check out NVDA, especially since Narrator is built into Windows 10? And 2, I realize some people have to pay for JAWS, but some people claim that JAWS takes more features than NVDA. Why opt for NVDA over JAWS?
I thought we talked about this a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, we did.
Question, JAWS
sure
still has some features that NVDA lacks, such as text analyzer, picture description feature. Do you plan to include more add-ons instead of having separate add-ons that you must install? 1 and 2 we've already addressed, and the second number 2, which I think is supposed to be number 3, I will talk a little bit about, and I think it's a philosophy that NVDA tries to only include screen reader specific features, and it hopes that the community will get involved, as they have, and create separate add-ons for things like image description, for things like text analyzer, that type of thing. Some things have been created, some things have not. So the answer to your question is they're probably not going to get involved in doing that.
Yeah.
No. Well, I think Michael made that fairly clear as well. I think that's going to be an add-ons thing. So just depends on how keen you are on having it happen, I guess, and how keen someone's to develop it. So.
Yeah, we do want to thank you so much for your questions, and thank you very much for joining us. I know this has been a marathon. We've gone a long time, and your popcorn's probably out, and your beverage is done, and we thank you so much for sticking with us.
Poor Marco.
And
very good.
We still have, let's see, how many people do we have watching?
1.
6.
Very good.
So if you've stuck with us this entire time, thank you so much.
People.
We truly appreciate you. Happy Eid, happy Mother's Day. Thank you. Please share this out. Consider
and
sharing
happy Coke Day.
Yeah, exactly. Share it out on Snack Chat. Thank you very much. Share it out on Reddit. Share it out everywhere. Let everybody know if you appreciate the content. Let us know what you want to see from us in the future, and we'll be happy to address that. You can either send us feedback on our forum, or you can send us an email. What is the email address? contact@blindtechguys.com.
We only have one. Thank God.
And we truly, truly want to thank you so much for listening to us. Also, please consider donating.
I think the price has gone up monthly now. I think we used to say it was $50 a month. I'm pretty sure it's a little bit more than that now.
Yeah, we're closer to 70.
Yeah. $70 a month these days, listeners. So dig deep, as they say. Dig deep. Come on.
Yeah,
Thomas, I did not blow up my phone
helps.
to phantom power. Yeah, exactly. Anything help. And truly, thank you so much to those of you who do donate. And if you would consider a donation, please do that. We really would appreciate it and would help our costs, and it would also help us buy new technology possibly as well for us to demo.
Yeah.
Well,
So
also
you can
think
do
of the
that.
amount of money that we're putting towards future demos coming up, of course, with the strap and stuff like that. I mean, we would have probably bought them anyway, but,
Yeah.
just different things that we can demo out.
blindtechguys.com, and there is a link on there that will direct you to our donation site, which is actually through PodFan. We really like PodFan. Jamie, I think her name is, from PodFan, is excellent, absolutely brilliant, is willing to fix accessibility issues.
Is that a guy or a girl?
She's a girl.
With the
I've
name
been working
Jamie.
with Jamie. She is absolutely delightful to work with. Maybe we'll get her on the pod. And absolutely
Very good.
really enjoyed working
very
with
nice.
Good,
with her.
another girl. That's
Yeah,
good.
very good.
Yeah, we absolutely really love working with her from PodFan, and but the site uses Stripe to create that payment, and you can sign up for either recurring donations monthly. There are some different tiers up there now, and you
I
can
want
also
people to write in and vote on whether they like the potential new thing that we're going to create called palpay.me/BTG, because it rhymes. palpay.me/BTG. Yeah.
we're going to buy out that domain, and we'll have it direct to the pod.
So if you like that potential
God.
addition, you should let us know, because I think it's quite good.
Yes. And anyway, thank you so much for joining us today. And wherever you might be in your country, be safe. I know India's going through a lot of struggles right now.
Yeah, put
And,
those masks
please-
on.
Yeah, put the masks on. Be safe. The mosques, too.
And the mosques, yes.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
Carrie, thank you again for joining us. It's been delightful having you on. I really want you to say more next time you're on, though. But, really delightful to come on. Just tell us to
Well,
shut
you
up
kept
if we
cutting
talk
her
too much.
off. Exactly.
Yeah, I
Then
know.
she'll say more.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, thanks for having me on, guys. It was definitely a blast.
Absolutely.
By the way,
Yeah.
what time is it where you're at?
It
Oh, yeah.
is like 12, 13 in
Yeah,
the
you
morning.
better get into bed with Pablo,
So let
otherwise
me
you'll not
tell
be
you-
happy.
So let me tell you what, Carrie, you win the gold prize for being a mother on Mother's Day, joining us at midnight. Thank you so much for
Absolutely.
Well,
agreeing
it's
to
not
come on.
Mother's Day there anymore. It's done and
Yeah.
dusted.
So I can't wish you that, I guess. But anyway, thank you very much. And we'll see you guys next week. Thank you and have a great one. Bye, guys.
thank
Bye,
you,
Mary.
guys.
Bye, everybody.
Kurt.
Everyone.
Bye, guys.
Catch you next week, people.